This week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast, David and I talk about adapting to a new normal. We make coronavirus our bitch. We talk about the top 10 stock market crashes in the last 100 years, and then murder, death, kill. All that and more on this week's episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast. Welcome in to episode 038 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. My name is David Farmer with Entice, and with me as always is David Bertoncini. How you doing, David?
I am so good, man. It is good to be here, although we've got our distance.
Yep, we're good. So we're practicing our social distancing, kind of.
Yes, social distancing. We're a good 3 feet apart, maybe almost 4 feet apart between David and I. But wow, man.
Wow, indeed.
Wow.
Yes.
It is definitely wild. Today is actually, we're recording on St. Patrick's Day, and fuck, it does not feel like St. Patrick's Day.
It's crazy, right?
No celebrations, no green beer.
I don't even think you can even say like, hey, have a happy St. Patrick's Day today, right? It's like, I mean, everything has changed.
It is almost like REM said, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Yep. True.
So really, that is like,
you know. Statement. That's actually one of the things I put here is that life has changed. Our normal is gone. And guess what?
This is going to be the new.
This is it. It ain't coming back. Yeah. It ain't going to be like it was a month ago.
No. And you know, it's funny is we created this podcast. It was born 4th of July weekend, 2019.
Yeah.
We came in, you know, brand new to this whole scene. A content creation, a way for us to get ourselves out there, to feel comfortable making content and shit, man. When this hit, I mean, we had 38 weeks of content we put together, pumping the idea of the Modern Dealer Podcast out there to our audience so they understand what we've been talking about for the last 37 episodes. Mm-hmm. It's like how to become a modern dealer.
Yep.
Well, if you have
how to be a dealer today, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And all of it we've always talked about is, you know, always digital retailing.
Yep.
Obviously, your company Entice is there with digital retailing. But the biggest thing is how to change your process.
Yeah.
You know, make your marketing your process and making some of your tools part of your marketing.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, you know, there's other people out there who have some of the greatest tools out there, but it's like having a mansion with not a front door, with no way to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I love you for bringing that up, and it's exactly. I think it's almost difficult for us to clearly communicate what we want the modern dealer to be for our dealers. You know, I did some research for this episode, seeing what's happening in the state of the industry, and there's a ton of information out there. You can go to Automotive News, and there's other automotive-specific websites, but that really is looking at the business as, you know, from a manufacturing standpoint, a global standpoint, but how is this really affecting the bulk of the people at the front lines? And I think that's really where I want the Modern Dealer Podcast to be able to supply some information is how can you, whether it was a month ago or whether it's today, how you're able to make some positive impacts in what happens on your showroom, how people are engaging on your website, how that's translating into your showroom, but specifically like the real deal, right? The real blocking and tackling, the real part of retailing.
It is the new retailing.
Yeah, and then how is that shifted? You know, it's so cool too. Is I don't want to dominate this the first part of the podcast, but. What I've been doing for the last 6-8 months is I've been doing the social media posts, for
salespeople.
Salespeople, salespeople, social media tips for salespeople. And everything that I've been talking about the last 6 months is more relevant in a post-coronavirus world than it was previous. It's interesting.
Well, it's funny is that, you know, I'm on the phone with dealers all day long, talking to GMs and owners and operators, and you know, everybody we know right now is fearful of what is next. Mm-hmm. And you know, we've talked to some dealers that say, "Oh, we're just going to stick to the course." I'm like, that course is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that ship is just sunk.
Yeah, we were talking
So,
about that the other day too. Is that
correct.
you can't take the approach that I'm just going to stick my head under the ground and just pretend everything is normal
Mhm.
and expect to come out of this in one piece.
So the advertising of those dealers, which are just going to continue to do what they've always done, and thinking they're going to get the same results, well, clearly we know it's a definition of insanity. But now, to continue down that course of like, please come to the dealership, please come to the dealership, and we'll put a
Yeah,
COVID-19 on our website and what
yeah.
we're doing. We've got sanitizer, we've got all this and that. We're keeping social distance. We're not shaking hands. That's all fine, but what about the customer that says, you know what? There ain't no reason I'm coming into that dealership. I'm not going anywhere. I feel safe at home. Well, what do you do with that customer? And there used to be a 0.1% of that customer, or 1%, maybe up to 2, 3, 4%. But now that's going to be a good 40, 50% of your customers are going to say, hey, you know what? I don't know. Why should I come into the dealership? I don't want to be there for hours. It's going to take 4 hours to buy a car.
And I think that's the part that needs to be focused on, is not that we're the best place because of coronavirus or we're the cleanest. I don't think that needs to be your advertising message, but you really have to, like we've always said, we got to move in the direction of whatever the customer's objection is. So right now, if there is some fear around what is happening with the coronavirus, is move in that direction. And what I mean by that is, what would customers be looking for when choosing a dealership to do business with? Are they looking for somebody that's going to be fast? Are they going to look for somebody that's going to be easy? Are they going to be looking for somebody that they can do part of that purchase online and part of that purchase in the showroom, where it's this hybrid? So I think it's just like before is, don't scream that you're the biggest to the best. You get the best inventory, you get the best people, you get the best location, but you move past that and
Mhm.
talk about you really talk about what you do have,
Right.
right?
The controllables.
Yeah.
So even the controllable in
All
my
right.
coffee today,
Yeah.
we let me tell you about the coffee. So this coffee is from one of my favorite little restaurants. It's not very often I get to stop there and get some coffee, but I stopped there on the way this morning because their dining room is closed.
Yep.
But what's cool is because the way they were built, they actually have an outside window for their outside patio
That's cool.
area. Outside patio area is closed, but they use that outside window for you to order over the phone or online through their Instagram. You can send them a DM through Instagram because they're huge on Instagram. Craft Cafe, CRAFT, Craft, but Cafe spelled with a K instead of a C.
Okay, cool.
2 locations in St. Pete,
Yeah.
nearby to serve you. My favorite location is the downtown one on Central Avenue. I live like 1 block from there.
Very cool.
And so I had to order my coffee, through a direct message on Instagram to them. And they respond right away. They got
Very
somebody
cool.
sitting right there on
Yeah.
the DM to respond. They're like, yep. Or you could call in, or, they're telling you several different ways to get coffee. And of course, this is a special iced latte with, I don't know, they just always asked one of the employees there, Izzy, this is her own concoction. I'm like, give me an Izzy special.
Izzy special.
Yep. So shout out to you there, Izzy.
What's really cool about that too is that is a way that a business is adapting to this new normal, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's what we need to do in the automotive industry, is we need to adapt to what this new normal is. It doesn't mean that you need to freak out. It doesn't mean that you need to stop all your advertising. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to be working from home, but it does mean that you need to adapt to what this new normal is. Now, before we go into a lot of the what that new normal is, I thought this would be a good time and a good platform to talk about really the state of the world and the state of the industry. And so I grabbed some pieces of information that I thought we kind of chat through, so we can maybe use this to memorialize what has made this shift and why dealers really need to look to adapt to the new normal. So we know that life has changed. We know that that our normal is gone and it's not coming back. I think we should just take a moment to really let that sink in. It's like, it's not going to get back to the way that it was last month, even a couple weeks ago at this point.
Mhm.
It does remind me back in 2008, 2009, I mean, it really took years to be able to get through the Great Recession, right? Same thing, we also lived through 9/11 and how that had a major impact. And it took years to be able to get through, that. I think it is important to understand that that our normal is gone and it's not coming back. We do have to adapt to this new normal. So why is it gone? So let's look at some of the stats. As of today, right now, it's March 17th. It's 2 p.m. Italy is on lockdown. 60 million people are locked down in the country of Italy. They've had over 2,000 deaths.
Did you see? Now they're making the best of it. There's an upside to this, and there's videos of like a personal trainer standing on like the rooftop of like the pool area because their pool's closed, but he's standing on the rooftop, and everybody's on all their balconies, and he's there and he's doing a workout.
Cool.
Everybody's doing them jumping jacks with him. They're doing push-ups. They're doing sit-ups. So they're following his workout.
So they're adapting, right?
They're adapting,
yeah.
right.
Like
and then there was this one that it was at nighttime, and there was a DJ. He brought out all the stuff out to his balcony, and he's playing music. And he's got, people on their balconies, across the way, everybody's dancing on their balconies and making, they're adapting to this, hey, it's going to be a couple weeks of a lockdown. Let's make the best of it. Let's not freak out. Let's not, lose our minds, but let's have fun with it.
It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. I think there's an understanding that everything has changed. I love the idea of adapting to the new normal, and I think that's what we'll name this episode: "Adapting to the New Normal." I was gonna call it "Let's Make Coronavirus Your Bitch," which I think is equally as relevant, right?
Well, you told me before I came here, I wore my special "Make Coronavirus Your Bitch" socks.
I like it.
We might as well just talk about those bad boys. Right
for
now.
Sure, let's do it.
And these were my middle finger to the coronavirus and a big, if it focuses in on there, that special university of F you, fuck you.
You, coronavirus. We're going to make you our bitch.
But you can make it, and that's what other people are trying. Now, let's look at this. China is... they've already hit the climax. They're on the other side of the hill. All these special hospitals they opened up are already closed from, everyone's recovered. They're on the other side of it now. Shit, they just had a case of bird flu.
They're on the other side of the curve, right? We've been talking a lot about flattening the curve, making sure that we can spread out. Same amount of people are still going to get it, right? That's the whole idea. But we don't want to have it in a 30-day window. We want to have it in a 60-day window, or we don't want to have it in a 3-day window. We want to have it in a 3rd-day window. Kind of flatten that curve out.
And plus, China is 4 times the size of the U.S. in population. So for them to get over to the other side of the hump, there's a lot of lessons we can learn from that and how to recover. And this episode is focusing on, hey, how do we flatten it and get to the road of adapt and get to the road of the new norm, which is our recovery, what's going to be the new norm.
Yep. So just a few other pieces of information. San Francisco earlier today, they woke up this morning to a shelter in place notice. That means that you can't be outside unless you are doing something that is considered essential. So I mean that's the most draconian type of situation that we've ever had in the United States, where you have to be sheltered in place. Kind of insane. There's a whole bunch of states right now, I think there's 7 or 8, that said that you cannot be in groups of 10 people or larger. And then there's other states that are 25 people or larger. And actually, just before I turned the podcast on, or before you walked in for the recording of the podcast, Florida beaches, you can't be in a group of. You have to be in a group of 10 or fewer and have at least 6 feet of space between. I don't know how they're going to regulate that, but that's a state mandate. Crazy stuff. And of course, that's going to be something it's going to take some. It'll be a short period of time that we're living in this, but again, it is going to. This is going to be our new normal. That we've had this shift, just like 9/11 and just like the Great Recession, and I'm sure other things previously.
Tell us about that money. You
Oh
skipped
yeah,
over to
that's true. Yeah.
$1,000.
So
Show me the money.
so a lot of people, the president and other people are talking about now that they're going to actually be sending out some sort of stimulus bill. I started watching a little bit of the news before, again, just a little while ago. So maybe by the time that you hear this, this will already be a thing. But they're talking about just giving money to people that need it.
Facebook small business grant for small business owners. Facebook just released $100 million in cash and grants and credits
Wow.
to small business owners that rely on Facebook for advertising because, of course, if you're not advertising on Facebook,
Yeah.
you're not advertising.
That's a really good point. That's going to be
That
in
just
our
came across the
recommendations.
news
Wow.
right now.
Just now. Okay, cool.
Check out Facebook.
Yeah, so they're adapting to the new normal, right?
Yep.
They're trying to adapt to what we can do here. So a lot of other crazy stuff happening. This was a little sobering. So I know there's a lot of people out there right now really asking the question, what is all this fuss about? God, let's just get over it. Let's just get back to normal. Like I said, I don't think we're going to get back to normal. But one of the things that I've noticed, just kind of for my own self, to really understand how how much of an impact is this really going to have? I mean, the numbers have been relatively low, especially if you look at other diseases, other flus.
Right.
But I mean, the whole idea is we know that it's coming, or this is what all the doctors are saying. So just be prepared for it. So I think we're starting to see it just now. So the numbers as of yesterday was 3,485 cases with 65 dead, and it's been kind of a very slow build to get to those numbers over the last couple of weeks. But from yesterday to today, it moved from 3,485 cases to over 5,000 cases. And then we went from 65 dead yesterday to 97 dead today.
So it increased by a third.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So up 33%.
So it's exponential, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know what we don't know what's going to look like tomorrow. We don't know what's going to look next week.
So I'm going to this will be the only doom and gloom that I give, but my uncle is on he's a department head on the board of Tampa General Hospital. He is a very, very high executive there. And he is telling me some inside information that basically the numbers you see, double it. Yeah. Because the information is already 4 or 5 days old.
Yeah, exactly.
From this information that we're getting, because of the testing takes 4 days to get a result. They're supposed to be moving to this new testing that's going to go down to 4 hours, but right now this information is 4 days old. Yeah. So you might as well take all these numbers and double them, is what he says. Just whatever you see, just double it, and that's about the truth of what's going on. But the good news is, once people recover from this, it's that's so we'll take the punch on the body.
Yeah.
It's the punch on the economy is what you and I are about to get into. Yeah, we're going to get into the punch and to the modern dealer, which are the old dealers really going to they're going to die. Yeah. This is going to be the death of a lot of dealers that conventional old school dealer, which is just like, I'm not using social media. I'm not doing Facebook. I just had a dealer tell me that they said they will not let their salespeople use YouTube or Facebook or anything to sell cars. Wow. I just want to say, oh my God, you are fucking blind. I mean, it's just like, how could you think so old? Yeah. But I understand. You've been in the business all this time, and I appreciate your seniority, your tenure. What worked yesterday, literally, what worked 2 weeks ago is not going to work this week.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yep. So let's get into a little bit of the, and then we're gonna get ready to take a break here in just a moment. But let's get into some of the statistics of how crazy this time is right now. So one of the things I just jumped online earlier, I looked at the stock market, and I wanted to see really how volatile has it really been in the last few weeks compared to the history of the world, right? So let's just really take a moment and look at how things have changed. So first of all, let's look at the largest daily point losses, just in the last few weeks. So if we look at the number one largest point lost, that was yesterday. Yesterday, that was a 2,997 point drop. That was a 12.12 12.93% drop.
Call it 13. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
unlucky
exactly, right?
number
Yeah.
for anybody in the market. And
Yeah.
basically just kiss over the last
Billions
couple
of
of
dollars,
days.
yeah.
Well, I mean, if you got a 401k, I mean, anybody working at a dealership, their 401k, no matter what size of the store it is, if your 401k is an AutoNation stock or is it in mom and pop, whatever security that your 401, your retirement's attached to, you might as well kiss more than 60% of that shit, half of that shit goodbye.
Yeah, yeah. And
40%.
the number 2 point drop, 23.52, a 10% drop. That was 4 days ago.
Thursday.
The number 3 drop, which is 2,113, was 4 days ago, or the
on the 9th.
9th, so 7 days ago.
Yep, last week.
The 4th largest point drop, 1,464, was the 11th.
So
5 days ago.
Yeah, today's the 17th, so that's a week ago, 6 days ago.
Yep. The 5th largest point drop of ever, 1,190 points, was on on 2/27.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was 17 or 18 days ago. And then we jumped down to the 8th largest point drop was on 2/24. The 9th largest point drop was on 3/5. The 10th largest point drop was 2/25.
So the top 10 were all in 2020.
Yeah.
And we are into the 100th day of 2020.
Yeah.
What is this right now? Because this is St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
so you've got 90,
30, 60,
we're like 103
90,
days into the year. So the first 103 days of the year you've already topped the top 10 biggest losses in the market. So Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I meant to send you, I listened to this morning, one of the most kick-ass interviews that I have ever heard with him, done December 15th, calling this entire shit out.
Wow.
He was saying the market's about to take a not a US depression, but we're going to go into a global depression. We're going to see one of the worst in history ever drops.
And that was without the pandemic on top of it, right?
No, that was just okay. Coronavirus came out December 19th.
Oh, no, you're right.
So this was 4 days before even coronavirus was even born. I mean, they were still running around in animals. I mean, before they started, the thing broke out in Wuhan.
Bats and pigs. And
So before
which we watched that movie Outbreak, and we watched the movie Contagion.
Of course, let's scare ourselves. Come on, good job. Now you guys are like freaking out.
Now we're really fun.
And now it's like a sci-fi movie, but there was another side to both of those movies.
Yeah.
They didn't drop the bomb on Outbreak, and they found a virus for Contagion, but the other side, what was it?
They found the antivirus.
Antivirus. That's
whatever the
antidote, whatever. Antidote. That's what it was. But on the other side of it all, I mean, we'll get there. But the good news, as I said earlier, I mean, at least we'll recover. But these are some fucking crazy numbers, dude.
Now on the other side is the largest point gains. Number one. March
Valentine's
13th.
Day?
Number 2,
March.
the 2nd. The 3rd, the 4th. The 4th rank largest point gain is on 3/10. So I mean, we've had these ups and downs. There's all turmoil in the market. It's absolutely insane. We're going to get into some really cool stuff on the other side of the break. We're going to talk about the state of the industry. There's some really cool. I want to say cool. It's not cool. We've got some interesting pieces of information that we want to share with you on the other side of the break about our industry. And then I really want to get into what are some things that dealerships should be concerned about right now and making some changes and how they can adapt to this new normal as far as their advertising and their processes. So hang with us. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Selling your car should be easy. Say hello to Express Cash Offer. You can trade in your old vehicle for a new one, or sell it to us. Either way, we'll buy your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. You can get an Express Cash Offer for your trade-in that's good for 7 days. Here's how it works. Just upload some interior and exterior photos of your vehicle, along with a photo of your VIN and one of the odometer. Our professional used vehicle appraisers will review the information and provide you with an Express Cash Offer in just minutes. After a quick on-site inspection of your vehicle, we'll hand you a check, or you can trade it in for a new ride. With Express Cash Offer, we'll even take care of paying off your loan if you have one. Selling your car should be easy, and with Express Cash Offer, it is.
Welcome back into the second segment of episode 038 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. We're going to jump right back into the state of the industry. So I wanted to go over kind of the state of the world and kind of get into the state of the industry. So these are some things that are happening kind of as we speak. I think we referenced this a couple episodes ago about how Ford stock is doing and Carvana stock. I think that's good way to kind of measure, what's happening right now. Ford has continued to drop. They're at a 52-week low as of when I checked about an hour ago. Same thing with Carvana. A couple months ago, or I think the beginning of last month, they're at $110, $115. Now they're at $32. So I mean, everybody's
Good time to buy.
Yeah, but is it? That's the question. I don't know. Is it going to go down further? VW, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, all have shut down production in Europe.
So that's going to affect, obviously, inventories, worldwide inventories, and, of course, parts, those parts that do come from Europe. Let's just say the Supra, because the Supra is built in Europe. Yeah. So I don't know how well of a seller
you just think about the supply chain that it takes to be able to manufacture and have these plants to be at 100% effectiveness. I mean, the supply chain is something that they have to have completely dialed in. They're getting the right parts at the right time. And if they don't have the right parts at the right time, everything has to stop. So even if everything went back to normal tomorrow, it's going to have a huge rippling impact on parts, on vehicles. It has been disrupted.
It's almost going to be kind of good to tell a customer you're not getting that red one that you wanted. It's going to be fucking black. That's the nearest one we got, unless you want to wait a year. No, I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's one of the things you always want to say, right?
Yes. I loved it back in 08 when we had Priuses and gas was $4 a gallon. And a customer goes, I want a blue Prius. I'm like, you're getting a fucking red one. I mean, you're paying
either that
or wait 6 months and you're paying $4,000 over sticker. And I was like, yes, those were the good days. What happened to $4 a gallon? Come back.
And right now we're at like just barely
under
$1.
Under $2.
We're like
under $2.
Are we under $2 now?
Last time I got gas, it was like $1.99. I don't know. It's probably still dropping.
Okay. Yeah, it could be, because I know that there's a huge a change in oil prices just last week, which is one of the things that created all this volatility in the market. But I do not know what the gas price is today. Other things. CarMax is in a mandatory shutdown for at least 5 locations. I'm not specific. I don't know specifically what locations they are, but based on state and county guidelines, they are not allowed to be open. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If this is going to be something that they are going to mandate that auto dealerships shut down. I do know that in many of the states that they have some of these challenges right now, they are looking at auto dealer service departments as something that is that mandatorily mandatorily needs to stay open.
Banks, pharmacies, grocery stores, a couple essentials, automotive servicing, repair.
All bars, state of Florida, all bars, all
restaurants are gone to delivery. I know at 5 o'clock today, the restaurants, they're at 50% capacity. Then you're going to go down to nobody in the dining room, and it's going to be all Uber Eats. And
or take
but time this releases on Thursday, things will be different. I mean, this is 2 days, and then come Thursday when this comes out and you're watching it or listening to it and you're consuming it.
Yeah, that's old news.
Just like it may be old news, but the good news is if there's food delivery, fucking take care of those people, man.
Yeah.
I am tipping I've always tipped good, but I'm especially going all right, because these poor people are delivering you your lifeline, your food. Yeah. So totally off subject. Well, I appreciate that. I've always tipped well.
One of the problems that we're having right here in the Wesley Chapel area is the ability to buy food. Now, I talked to a few other people earlier today they're not saying they're saying that they're not seeing any challenges at their grocery stores. But if you go to Publix or Walmart, or you go to Sam's Club, or so some other stores in this area, there's no meat to purchase. I mean, you can buy fucking
chicken's gone.
You can buy chicken necks and giblets.
Ooh.
I mean, that's not anything that I would want to eat.
Stew.
But you're not able to buy chicken. You're not able to buy hamburger. You're not able to buy ground turkey.
Different story. We're in a metro market. I just talked to one of our super fans there, Kevin Ichter, and he took a picture. He's in Whiteville, North Carolina. Plenty of toilet paper, plenty of food. Nobody's scared. Nobody's worried. Rural areas, and I've talked to several dealers all over the country, like, we're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really feeling it because it's just, I guess, just that mentality, that small town mentality.
Well,
like,
also, you just think
know.
about, you're in a smaller town. Even if somebody in a small town, they decided to buy 2 or 3 days worth of food instead of 1 day's worth of food, or 2 or 3 weeks versus 1 week, it's not going to have a huge impact on it. But in this area, we're such a growing area, and we kind of have limited places where we can go shopping. I think once there's an upset in that supply chain, right? There's a disruption in the supply chain. They're having a very difficult time getting back to a normal level. Now, I do know that there has been conversations at the national level that this is something that they don't expect to be fixed anytime soon. It's going to take time to be able to.
It's going to be a month before you get some toilet paper.
Yeah.
At least in this area, you better count that shit out. I mean, you better buy a Baudet.
Yeah.
There's $75 on Amazon.
Yeah. And Amazon,
too.
Amazon just announced that they're going to hire an additional 100,000 workers.
That's awesome.
To be able to support the type of online purchase demand that there has been, an increase just over the last week.
Walmart's hiring 500 CDL truck drivers for deliveries to deliver, obviously, from their warehouses to the retail outlets. But then from there, you've got, all these places, Target and Walmart's been talking about curbside pickup and using Instacart and things like that, and using Instacart for your dealer. Yeah, delivering your cars to your customers. That's the message I'm driving home with dealers. Every dealer I'm talking to is either, you use tools or you get real fucking good at FaceTime.
Yeah, absolutely. Use the tools that you have available. I don't think you have to have a separate technology, but you have to embrace the new normal, and embrace what the customers are looking for, where they are objecting. So just a few other pieces of information in the industry. Ford, Nissan, Toyota, Hyundai, Wells Fargo, and Allied have all created a program for payment relief. So your existing customers that are financing with these banks and lenders, if they are going to be impacted by the coronavirus, they are going to have some payment relief built in. General Motors just released earlier today, might have been yesterday, that they have announced 84 months, 0% financing, the same type of program that they announced right after 9/11.
9/11 was only 72 months.
Oh, wow, okay.
This is 84. I mean, that was 6 years. Now we're going to 7-year financing available at 0 interest. I mean, like, wow. I'm in on that 2020 Corvette now.
Yeah, right. Good point.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I mean, that's $100,000 at 0%.
Hey, maybe it's a time to invest.
I'm not getting a car seat in that Corvette, though.
Hyundai also, they renewed, they brought back a Hyundai Assurance. This is job loss protection, 6 months of payments if they lose their job from coronavirus. Digital dealer, canceled in April. State of the industry. So this is something I was watching some of the information that's available on Automotive News, and one of the articles was talking about the impact that just 1 week of no sales. So what would happen is if we did not sell cars for 1 week, this is the type of impact it would have. The industry, just 1 week with no sales, you'd lose 94,000 jobs. You would have a financial impact of $7.3 billion, and it would have a negative tax liability of $2 billion in tax revenue. 1 week's
of all the dealers across the U.S., if they did not sell one car for
That's
1
the type
week.
of effect it would have on our economy.
Wow.
94,000 jobs, $7 billion in revenue, and $2 billion in tax revenue to the federal government.
I remember a statistic came out like this: if the entire country did not buy gas for one day, just didn't put gas in their car, everything, it was ramifications. Not like this, but I mean, it was some serious.
It's crazy to think about how big this industry. We know that this is, we know how many cars that we sell in the United States. We know what the SAR is. So if you just think about those types of numbers divided by 52, you take one of those weeks out.
Right.
That's the type of impact it's going to have.
So
it's
huge.
huge.
17 million is the SAR,
right?
Okay, so 17 million divided by 52 is whatever that is, and then that'll be.
And that's the type of impact it would have.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Another thing, thinking about how this is going to impact larger public companies in automotive. They're talking about Asbury was looking at purchasing the Park Place group. It's going to be $1 billion acquisition that might be in jeopardy right now, and if so, that might cost them $30 billion in fees. Another thing we're talking about is how this is affecting your daily operations. Auctions for Manheim across the country are now digital only. You're not able to go to the auction, purchase or sell cars. Everything is done online.
So that brings up a very interesting point. So before at the auction, not if you could join and do your bidding online, that's fine and everything like that. And of course you have the guys there at the auction. And if you're like an old school car guy, knowing that, hey, this guy knows that this dealer owns that car, but somebody's trying to bid on it, and we'll raise the bids because that whole little communication friend thing. Well, that's going to eliminate that, which is good. But then the bad side to it is now you're competing not with just those 12, 15 guys there and a couple guys online. Now you're competing with fucking everybody dealer
has to
online.
buy cars that way.
Exactly. So going to a buying center like we talked about episode 31 or whatever episode that was, we talked about it was episode 17. 28. Somewhere around there. One of those episodes, whatever episode it was, but we talked about creating a buying center, and it was that actually fits right in with, you're looking it up. It fits in with what we've been talking about because trying to buy inventory off the street is going to be fucking hard, man. Yeah. It was creating car buying center. Is it 28?
Online trade appraisals.
28. All right. So
I was right.
Yeah, you're right. Episode 28. You are good. But no, that just goes back to this whole Manheim thing being digital. I'm like, well, do you really want to compete with all these guys, or would you just really pump the message to your market that you buy cars and you pay more than the dealer next door to you with a proper strategy?
Great segue. Let's talk about that. I mean, we're gonna have to be wrapping up here pretty quick. We're gonna keep this episode from getting too long. So there's two main things that I think dealers need to look at of how they can adapt to this new normal. Number one is the process in your store, and the second is advertising. Let's talk about process, and I think this is probably the biggest. So when we learn how to sell cars, and when everybody learned how to sell cars,
the 3 C's, see the car, see the keys, see the road. Wait, that's a delivery, 3C delivery.
Well, so that is going to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first thing that we're taught, right? Welcome to ABC Toyota. My name is, right? And you put your hand out there. That is going to change.
Adios.
Right? You're not going to be so what is the new normal? What are you going to do? Like an elbow bump? Is that how you do it now?
Boom.
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 Like that? Or what do you do?
Did you see the one with Trump at the Rose Garden? And he got the elbow bump from one of the CMOs. But it was hilarious. He's like,
he shook
everybody's hand, but then the guy goes, he did the elbow bump. He goes,
I
like that.
Yeah. But that's, so we need to, as an industry, you need to, as a dealer operator, make the decision. What are you going to do? What is socially acceptable? I guess maybe even think about wearing a button, that says something. We practice social distancing. For our own employees, for the use of for the safety of our customers, but address it, right?
Do you remember Demolition Man from 1990s?
Yes.
With Sylvester
What did they do?
Stallone, and
Yeah.
they did like this little thing. They were like, they didn't touch each other. They did like this. No, they were
That's
from a
what they did?
distance. They did this.
That's a good idea. We
Instead of
should
a
check
high
that out.
five or anything,
Yeah.
a handshake, they did this, and they were like a good 3 feet from each other, and did all that. But I mean, it's so funny. I think of Demolition Man
Yeah.
of like all the stuff that
Murder,
they
Death, Kill.
who murder, death, kill.
That was from Demolition Man.
Oh, it was. Yes. Like, oh, we haven't had a
Murder,
murder
Death,
in
Kill.
years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like what does that mean? They're
Yeah.
like, oh, alarm has gone off. But the funny thing is they didn't have sex. It was all virtual. It was all VR.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's right.
They didn't have any intimacy. They
Yeah.
kept their distance.
Good point.
Taco Bell was fine dining.
Yeah.
They're like, we're
Yes.
going to dinner tonight. We're going to Taco Bell. And it's like a tuxedo, and he had a
That's
piano
funny.
player.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going off on a rant. But
No,
I mean,
it's
it's
good.
just, I love talking about those old movies.
That's funny stuff.
All right. Greeting.
All right, so
greetings,
yeah,
test
so
drives.
what is so what does so first of all, what does your greeting look like today, and how do you communicate to your customers when they come on the lot that it's safe and it's okay not to shake someone's hand? I really think that we need to think about this. I don't have the answer. I think that it's a conversation that needs to be, right?
Little peace sign. Peace
Yeah, a
out.
little piece.
Like, hey.
Maybe you can't even really do the fist
Not
bump
a fist
anymore,
bump,
right?
not an elbow. Just
Maybe
like,
it's
just
this,
really no
maybe it's,
contact.
like
The
the Vulcan thing, right?
Could be, I mean, whatever your greeting is, like, hey, welcome, and, we
You do the
practice
foot
social
thing?
distancing.
The
Foot
kick
thing's
the cook
actually,
thing? I like that.
yeah, that's the best one. Just like a
Boom,
little
boom, boom.
bop, bop.
So that-
There's a
but
couple
still-
dances
yep.
to do that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things you need to look at. Test drives. How is that going to change?
Ooh,
You know,
that is a
you're grabbing the
good
door.
question.
You're grabbing the door
You're
handle.
sitting
You
next to the
normally-
stranger
Yeah.
that you don't know if it's like coughing
Yeah.
because they have allergies or they're.
Yeah, not only for the customer standpoint, but
For the
from an
salesperson.
employee standpoint. What does that look like? How is that going to
Shit.
change?
That's really gonna.
It's huge.
Yeah,
Right?
probably gonna be sending customers a lot on test drives on their own.
Yeah.
Probably,
think
and
probably-
you're gonna have to, scan their driver's license.
You're going
and
to have the Lysol antibacterial available kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
To think about all of those things. And maybe each salesperson needs to be carrying one of these right now, where they're going to wipe down the car before you put them into a presentation, and or when you go through delivery.
Security guard at the local supermarket, Publix, he has a gun. He's got other things. He's got a thing of Purell hanging upside down
Yeah.
that he could just squirt on his belt.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a good idea.
That's like, that's like the new
I mean,
norms.
I
like
have a little bit of Purell type stuff right here. And so, I mean, your salespeople should have this, and maybe that's maybe that's a good way to incorporate that into your greeting, right? When you meet with someone, and you just have some of this, but take it out when you're here. Would you like some, Mr. Customer? Great,
Right.
So make sure that we're practicing safe social distancing,
Yeah.
right? Make sure that yours is going to be safe.
Practicing safe social distancing.
Yeah, exactly. So what are those best practices? Test drives, greetings, negotiations, deliveries. I think these are all things that are impacted. I mean, I know at hospitals they have like the Purell gel
Stations.
by every door,
Yeah.
where you can grab it. And I mean, that's just like part of their normal routine. They walk in the door, they grab some of that stuff. Should have some of that stuff at every salesperson's desk. Sit down, do it. I mean, I think that is some of the things that we need to address. So, I mean, a lot of very interesting stuff to think about. And maybe this is something that we need to think about from the Modern Dealer podcast standpoint is what are some of the tips that we can bring to our listeners in how, how to adapt to this new normal. Our podcast isn't going to go back to the normal podcast. It has now changed, just like the industry has changed.
Because we are the Modern Dealer podcast.
We are
man.
the Modern
we
Dealer
are talking
podcast.
about for 9 months about how to become more modern, and this is actually forced everybody. So congratulations, you made it to the other side. If
Yep.
you make it,
Yeah.
if you don't, and you got to shut your doors, well,
One of the things I wanted to mention too, and I think that we're probably going to start to hear more about this. My wife shared with me a text, or it was a Facebook post from a friend of a family member, and it was a 42-year-old healthy male that rarely get sick. I mean, so very similar to me. I don't get sick. I keep myself very healthy. I'm very lucky in that standpoint. But he was also one of those people that just don't get sick. He got COVID-19. He got the coronavirus, and he said it kicked his ass. He felt like he wanted to die. He said it was a horrible experience. He has no idea where he got it. He didn't do it. He was being safe. He was using Purell. He was, disinfecting.
Right.
He wasn't shaking people's hands. He was being
Where do you
safe.
work at? A dealership?
I don't know. No.
He's not in the car
No.
business?
I think I don't know, so I won't speculate. But very safe, very healthy. Kicked his ass. Super high fever, body aches. So the whole thought that it's only going to affect you if you're old. And if you get it, it's not that big of a deal. That's not
Everybody
the
reacts
case.
different. Yeah, everybody's going to react differently to it. So, I mean, it's just going to be how your body is.
And really, I think it's very important to understand too that if you get it, or even if you become a carrier for it and you pass it on to somebody else, that's really where there's a lot of harm that can take place. So the process things that we're talking about today is something that's going to play into that entire whole of this idea of the coronavirus, right?
Exactly. What I popped into earlier at the beginning of the episode was talking about advertising, and it is going one direction with traditional.
Yeah.
And some stores, I could not believe somebody told me, "Oh, we're just going to stick on the path we're on and continue with our traditional." I'm like, you need to quadruple down on your digital, and especially since everybody's looking at their phone right now, more than ever, concentrate on Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, LinkedIn. TikTok. I mean, use all these platforms that are available, which are at a low cost. And the funniest thing, that one of the biggest things I get from dealers are like, "Oh, Facebook doesn't work." I put a post up that of this. We're running a $9 oil change special, and we didn't have any customers come in. I'm like, did you put any advertising money behind it? No, we have 3,000 people. Yeah, we just posted it. I said, of the 3,000, guess what? Only 1% saw that, so 30 people saw your post. Yeah. So 30 people did any of their oil change. It passed right through their thing, and that was it. Did you get any likes or reactions? Oh, no. I'm like, because you got to put some money behind it, Dick. Yeah. And they're like, oh.
Very good point. What I would say is we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I did have this kind of where we're getting to is to get to this point right now. So adapt to the new normal from an advertising standpoint. This would be my recommendation, and this is what we did for our dealers as well, is we looked at what have we done in the last 12 to 18 months? Where have we put our money? Has it been in search? Has it been in display? Has it been in video? Has it been in traditional versus digital? And where do you have the opportunities? So I'm not recommending pulling back. I'm not recommending pulling out of advertising just to conserve money. I think it's important to make sure that you're going to be there when customers are looking. If they're not working, if they're not going out to bars, if they're not going out to the beach, they're going to be looking. You need to be there when customers are looking. I recommend look at what you have had your advertising budget invested in, and then look for areas of opportunity. I personally believe that you need to scale back from traditional and look at where there is opportunity. I would look at, as we were working with our dealers, is fixed operations might be a blind spot for you from an advertising standpoint. If customers aren't looking at replacing vehicles right now, they're going to want to make sure that their vehicle is in good shape and that it's all serviced up and it's going to last them for some time. They might be looking at buying new tires, getting oil changes, or anything else, right?
Our guest Jeff Cowan was talking about that 2 weeks ago. Thank you for the books, Jeff. We got
we got a couple of
what
them
I've
here.
learned from attending over 35 years of Indy 500s and right service, write your own paycheck, how to earn $100,000 without a degree. Thanks, Jeff, for that. You are awesome. We appreciate getting the books there last week, and it's just cool stuff. But like you said, you need to double down on different areas of the store.
Yeah, look at where you've had your money in the last 12 to 18 months. Look for areas of opportunities. Look where you've had some highs and some lows, and look where you can augment that. I personally would recommend to make sure if you're not. I mean, of course, I'm already hoping that you are advertising on YouTube and you have your spots on TrueView in the different ways that you can advertise there. But I would also look at how you can get your video, your TV spots in other video platforms inside the Google Display Network, utilizing the Google Marketing Platform. So when customers are going on to Facebook, let's say, you're going to have your video ads there on Facebook. But when they go into and read the news, you're going to have some placements available for display ads and video ads on those. So you want to make sure that you are there. I would also make sure that you're focusing on the process to kind of guide your advertising, something we've talked a lot about. So when customers are thinking about, maybe I should be buying a car, if I decide to buy a car, where do I want to buy a car and why? Are you offering an express test drive? Are you offering a test drive to be delivered to a customer's house, to their work? Are you providing the ability for a customer to get a firm price on a trade-in vehicle, like our express cash offer? I would also be looking at, and I'm going to use this episode 038 to get away from the terminology of digital retailing. I want to talk about digital to analog hybrid retailing, and I want to talk about online to offline selling. And I think that's really what dealers really need to be looking at. Is not looking at how to only have a digital transaction tool, but to be able to have a digital to analog hybrid approach and or online to offline selling. I think that's extremely important. And then also being able to allow customers to apply for loans, get their credit score online. Those types of activities can be done online on your website and included in your advertising, in what you're doing on search, display, video, and social. So that's kind of like my recommendation, what you can do and where there might be some opportunities for you. So we're 26 minutes in. We're going to wrap up with Bert's 3 tips.
Ding, ding, ding. I almost forgot an extra ding. But I'll cover in those things here in 1 second. But a couple of the tips from this episode will be number one, if you are a small dealer and you just have one store, one point, and you could reach out to Facebook for a small business grant.
Yeah, awesome.
That just came across as we're doing the episode.
We
here
will
Tuesday.
include information about that below in the show notes.
Yep. As I've been telling every store I've talked to over the last 72 hours, get really good at FaceTime.
Yeah.
And teach your salespeople that, hey, Mr. Customer, is it okay if I can kind of take you through some of the experience of our inventory of the vehicle, and we'll do it through FaceTime, you and I, and make the customer part of the process, make them feel good. Developing trust. That's getting trust from hello.
Yeah.
Without shaking a hand. That's like, okay, we're going to do this together. And just like, we're in this together.
You don't need anything special.
Nope.
You just pick up your
phone.
phone.
Got it right here, dudes. FaceTime and just boom, you're in.
And,
go ahead.
I was just saying, and I think dealerships need to trust their salespeople to be able to communicate with your customers. Trust that they are going to do the right thing. Hire the A players, making sure that you train them the right way to be able to, so you can trust them to use YouTube, to use Facebook, and use all of the technology that's available to communicate, whether it's on FaceTime or it's on YouTube or anything else.
Third tip, advertise home delivery. If you have a home delivery available somewhere on your website, if you have a such and such dealership to go, delivery or pickup, anything like that, advertise that, make that part of your advertising that, hey, we're going to bring the car to you. I've already seen a lot of stores putting that out there, but if this is the first time you're hearing it, take advantage of it. And to get one more ding in before we end this
Ding, ding, ding.
episode, if you like this is the first time you're checking out the Modern Dealer podcast, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And when you turn on notifications, ding, you will get notified every time we drop a new episode, which is weekly. We do film on Tuesdays, record on Tuesdays, and it's out to you on Thursday. So hopefully this upcoming week here, we might have to do it remotely next week, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Hopefully we can still be here in the studio.
And one last thing I'd say, we only got about 10 seconds left, is I would really love if you would share this video on your Facebook timeline. Share it if you want. For David
And David,
that's a wrap.
Ew, David.